All right, and we are live in 3, 2, 1. Diary of a Trans Woman is brought to you by everyone over at patreon.com. Thank you so much to everyone who made 2016 an amazing year for DOATW. Patreon.com/Diary of a Trans Woman is where 22 of my awesome listeners have gone and pledged to support the show. Thank you so much for making that happen. If you are interested in learning more about supporting the show, head on over to patreon.com/Diary of a Trans Woman. Let's go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. It's a brand new year, brand new episode, Diary of a Trans Woman. This is episode 54, and it is a surprisingly early springish July 3rd tonight. So yeah, welcome back. We took a week off for the holidays, but we're back, and we are rip roaring ready to go here with a brand new show. We got a couple things to talk to you. I'm gonna talk about it's a very kind of unstructured thought process that I have that I want to talk about, but I want to talk about just what measures the success of a trans woman in today's culture. And also, obviously, I want to talk about holidays and how that went and everything. As far as news stories go, a very first in LGBT queer trans culture has happened in New York. We're going to be getting into that. And we got some music I want to share with you today. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into my diary. All right, so Christmas happened, New Year's happened. Honestly, not a lot happened with me. I had probably actually one of my best holiday seasons ever. I had an amazing amount of fun, and ironically, I didn't actually do all that much. I wound up going over to my girlfriend's house and hanging out with her and her wife, and basically just sitting on the couch and eating junk food and watching crappy TV and all this stuff. We just hung out and we had a good time and petted their dogs a lot. They've got a little pit bull that's about 1 year old and another dog who is brown. I don't know exactly what he is, but but they're just the cutest dogs ever, and I love them. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was just chilling and playing video games and exchanging just small gifts, nothing big. It's kind of relaxing when you get to take a step back outside of just the busy, high expectations atmosphere of the Christmas season and just get to enjoy yourself. Just get to kind of sit back and not really worry about doing a bunch of stuff. There was no obligations for me to go to family. There were no big obligations for nobody that I was really around was a really big gift giver. However, I did give away a number of different things that I had knitted, and that was nice. And it was a very calm Christmas, and it was wonderful. And that's kind of all I want from life right now is every once in a while, I want a holiday where I can just kind of lay back and relax and not have to worry about life and work and all that other crap, because I do all that stuff in my other time, and I don't need to spend a holiday doing that. So Christmas was really great. New Year's, on the other hand, was not super calm. I had a nice 4-day weekend that I just ended yesterday, so I'm just getting back into work, and it is really hard to get into the swing of things after being out for 4 days. And thankfully, it was a very long 4 days. It seemed to last forever. It was really nice. I spent 4 straight days over at my partner's house, and great. We once again we hung out, we chatted. Um, I friend Zoe are planning on doing a bunch of projects. We talked about Raspberry Pi projects and building drones and lock picking stuff, and because she's a super crazy hacker tech nerd who works in internet security, who's really awesome. So we were talking about all that stuff and getting that together. We're playing Watch Dogs 2, and we watched Empire Records, an old 90s movie. Ate sushi and just had delivery and a bunch of stuff. It was great. But the absolute highlight of my New Year's was that my girlfriend's wife, she is a DJ, and she regularly DJs at a club here for a gay night. And they asked her to come back and open for the main headliner. Club, who was going to be doing the main part of the night, but there was a block in the beginning and a block in the end where she was getting up on and stage and spinning and playing music, and it was amazing to watch. It really kind of struck me. I have a brand new appreciation for has someone who has an ability to play music and read a crowd and choose tracks and do different things. If you had asked me a few months ago, like what goes into playing a show like that, I would have said that a DJ that just pre-recorded mix and just puts it on autoplay and hangs out, and it's a really cheap job. But I've got a whole new appreciation for that, because this girl, she can read a crowd, and she can get a crowd pumped up and get them on the dance floor. If you've ever been to a club, you kind of know that people don't really get out on the dance floor until 11:30ish, something like that. It's when it gets really crowded. This was like 9:30, 10 o'clock. Everyone was out. That was a ton of fun. One of the perks about doing that is that me and my partner Luna got to get up on stage with her and be in the little VIP area up behind the DJ booth. So we were basically out in front of everyone, and I decided to go ahead and I am a terrible dancer, by the way. I hate dancing. I want to. I really want to. But as far as like club dancing goes, I'm awkward as hell when it comes to that. I can't do it, and I especially can't do it alone. So I decided to get a few drinks in me, and I managed to get enough drinks in me to where I spent about 2 straight hours dancing in this VIP area on the stage behind the DJs, just by myself in front of 500 people. And so it was a ton of fun. It was so much fun, and getting to do the countdown and to stand up on stage and kind of lead the countdown for people, and to get that midnight kiss it's always a plus when you get to do that. So definitely a good time. But one of the things that I was thinking about a lot while I was watching up on stage was Zoe is a trans woman. She's been out for, I don't know how much of her story I want to tell, but she's been out for 7 years or so now, and it's amazing what she's done with her life. She is doing really well for herself, working in internet security. She is a DJ, and while she headlines a gay night in town here, she does gigs all over the place, and she is a very, very good DJ, just gay night. And she has done a number of different things to kind of make her mark and to really do well for herself. And it really got me to thinking, because a lot of times you hear about these activists, and you think about the most successful trans people in the world. You think about people like Janet Mock and Laverne Cox, and we're not going to say former Olympic champion's name, because I really don't want to talk about her right now. But you think about these when you think about successful trans women, you think activist. It's almost a term that goes hand in hand with successful transgender person. So, and because looking at this person who DJs and works in an IT field and is nerdy and techy and plays video games all the time, and she's successful. She is able to do anything she wants, and has found her success in something that is not at all LGBT related. And it made me realize that a lot of people out there may not really to an activism or an education field as which is what I'm doing, and which is what I enjoy doing. And so what determines the success of a transgender woman, or what determines the success of somebody in a minority group? Because I think too often we put the emphasis of someone being successful, we attribute that to the profile that they have in culture and how they're viewed as an activist or how they're viewed as an educator. And I'm not really sure that's the best thing for this culture. So if I don't know, if you have something, if you want to weigh in on that, I'd love to hear thoughts about that. If you know of successful transgender or queer icons that do not have a basis in activism or education, I would love to hear about them. I'd certainly love to talk more about this, but I cannot remember if we talked about this in the last episode, but we had talked about a while ago a doctor who had spent his residency learning transgender generalized healthcare, which means not just hormones, but physicals and how to treat anything that trans people would be faced with, and being able to deal with the fact that they're trans. And while most doctors in the field today struggle with that fact, while even people who do not know how to treat even the most basic ailments, when somebody comes in and says that they are transgender because they can't wrap their head around it, they don't know what to do. And so it's very, very hard to find reliable treatment. I think we did talk about it. It was easy to find a doctor who is accepted. It was hard to find a doctor who was knowledgeable. A doctor who spent his time learning about this and has dedicated his practice to this. And he actually set up shop, or he got a job just outside of Detroit here. So I went to go see him a couple weeks ago, and I have a follow-up here. And we've been chatting on and off a little bit through Facebook. I've been talking with him a little bit about coming onto the show. He's very excited to definitely talk more about that. So I'm super excited for that, because I would love to get someone who is educated on the show and to talk about just kind of their thoughts on the whole situation. Yeah, so we're talking, and I got a follow-up appointment on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. There's definitely going to be changes in my meds, because apparently my previous endocrinologist didn't know anything, and my levels are way out of whack. Like, I have double what the maximum amount of estrogen I should have, but my testosterone is not as low as I need it to be. I don't know. We'll talk more about that, but we're discussing different things like clinical trials for the effectiveness of different methods of administration of the hormones. So definitely going to get updates on that, but I wanted to give a little status update for what's going on now. That's about it as far as what's been going on with me. It was a very, very low-key couple of weeks, so it was really nice to kind of have just that time to relax and to chill out and have not much happen. If I could have one time of the year where I didn't want to have a ton of things to talk about, it would have been this year. So I thankfully got that. If you have stories that you want to share, I would love to hear them. Feel free to write in about your holiday stories and plans for 2017. I would love to hear about those. I'm not the biggest fan of New Year's resolutions, mostly because I'm lazy. But if you have New Year's resolutions that you want to share, but send them in. We'll talk about them, and we'll definitely discuss some stuff. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into our two news stories today. So let's go. Oh, New York makes history, and this is a story from NBC News, and the title of the article goes, Nation's first known intersex birth certificate is issued in New York City. So, on Tuesday, the article, on Tuesday, 55-year-old Sarah Kelly Keenan received something in the mail that she's been waiting for her entire life, an accurate birth certificate. Keenan was born intersex with male genes, female genitalia, and mixed internal reproductive organs. Now Keenan, he uses female pronouns, is making history here. Here is making history, period. Hers is believed to be the first birth certificate ever issued in the United States that reads intersex in the gender field instead of male or female. Quote, in the United States, birth certificates often provide access to a wide range of public services and critical identity documents such as state IDs, passports, Castillo said. Having birth certificates with gender diagnosis other than male or female provides an enormous sense of validation for a number of non-binary and intersex people. Like many, Keenan was unaware of her anatomical reality for most of her adult life because her parents and doctors agreed to keep it a secret. When she was born in New York City half a century ago, she was classified as a boy for 3 weeks and then suddenly issued a female birth certificate. So to pause here, I want to talk, we don't really talk on this show a lot about the intersex community. And unfortunately, it's not something that is super prevalent in today's culture, but it certainly is a demographic of this queer culture that that needs to be addressed and talked about. And while there are a number of differences in this community, you have lesbian, gay, and bisexual, and the LGBT queer as well. These deal with your orientation, and while you talk about LGBTQIA, you're talking about trans, which is your gender identity, intersex, which is a very anatomical, biologically based thing, dealing with your physical body and not necessarily your gender identity or your sexual orientation. Then you have things like queer and asexual, which are these huge umbrella terms that encompass a number of different terms, especially asexual, which is talking about a number of things that people don't normally know. There are plenty of terms under the ace umbrella that I'm not aware of or know the meanings to, and haven't really gotten a chance to learn a ton about. We can certainly talk about different terms in that asexual umbrella, but they're dealing with a vast variety of things. So intersex is the one term in this community that talks about your physical body, essentially. Trans dabbles in it a little bit with the dynamic between your gender identity and your physical body, but intersex is purely based on your chromosomes, your hormone levels, your reproductive organs, those kind of things, and how they are your body in a way that does not line up with the typical male or female definition. And so it does make it kind of awkward to get into a intersex talk, because for the vast majority of those conversations, it does circle around the idea that you have genitals that are not conforming to male or female types. So much time in the trans community is spent talking about how you shouldn't talk about genitals. It's not a thing that you should talk to a trans person about, because it's very personal and you shouldn't really address it, and it's not your business. And yeah, transgender does deal a certain amount with reproductive organs. However, intersex, I think, deals with it a lot more. You talk about chromosomes and hormones and reproductive stuff like that when you are talking about personal things like that. So it is a little bit of a touchier subject, and I think that may be a reason as to why it isn't so widely discussed in today's culture. But regardless, it certainly is something that is prevalent in this community and should be sure. So going on, quote, back then intersex people were called hermaphrodites, and doctors typically recommended surgery to make them conform to one or two genders. Keenan started a lifetime of hormone replacement therapy at age 16, vaguely informed that she was, quote, a girl that can't make hormones, unquote. Her father confessed to her in 2012 that doctors had suggested a penis to be constructed to match her genitalia to her male chromosomes, but he had declined. She has since undergone endocrinological endocrinological. It's an endocrine thing, something to do with an endocrinologist. It's endocrinological testing to confirm her intersex status. Quote, not all intersex people will choose to identify legally as intersex, Keenan told NBC Out. Not all parents will choose to have their intersex child identified as intersex on birth documents, but for those who do, the option must exist. So this is very important to talk about as well. Common for someone to be born intersex and then to grow up and identify as either male or female. And that decision should be made by the individual. However, it is very difficult when someone is an infant to make that decision. You should probably learn to say a few words and be out of diapers before you can make that decision. But so it's a very tricky topic to kind of to tackle and to figure out what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. But it is not uncommon for a doctor or parents to a intersex child and make decisions. Sometimes doctors making decisions without the knowledge of the parents, or the parents and the doctors making decisions for the child and never telling them to undergo surgery when they are an infant to correct the unconformity of everything. So I think definitely right off the bat it is a rough conversation to get into as far as what is appropriate and what is not, because you do kind of have to, I don't know, there's a certain amount, there's obviously a certain amount of shame in keeping it secret for so long, for their entire life, and not telling them what's going on. But as far as, especially to the point where you're 16 years old and you are taking hormones for your entire life because you're just a girl with a hormone deficiency, and then not finding out until 2012, 50 years old, that you were born intersex. So that's certainly not a way to go about it. But when you get into what should happen about it, it's a very, very murky water. And I don't think that any kind of loud argument can be made until we figure out exactly what is the right way to handle these things. So, or what is appropriate, or what is out of bounds. So, so definitely, yeah, go ahead and check this article out. It's really interesting to read, and it gets into the parts that I read just covered like about the first sixth of the article. So there's a lot more to look at here as far as the history of intersex people in today's society. So definitely, if you're interested in that, head on over to NBCnews.com. It's the nation's first known intersex birth certificate issued in New York City, NYC. So go New York for stepping up. I think it's awesome that they stepped up to the plate on that. So, all right, moving on to our next little news story that we have to talk about here. I stumbled upon something earlier today, and it was something I didn't know existed. It looks like it's been out for a couple months here, but this is called TransFem. Trans Feminine Recording Artists Network Supporting Friends and Exceptional Music. A little bit of a stretch of an anagram to make it say TransFem, but that's okay. And so I'm looking here, and it's TransFem. There's a volume 1, there's a volume 2. Volume 1 is from September, volume 2 is from November. But it looks like somebody has gone and compiled lists or compiled these songs from trans feminine artists and released them as for free under a Creative Commons license. So I wanted to go ahead. It's really hard for me to talk about an album like this, a musical medium like this, without actually playing it. But I think that because it's under a Creative Commons license and I'm not actually selling this episode, that I can go ahead and do it. So if YouTube goes ahead and shoots this episode down because it has music in it, well, that's kind of dumb. By the way, we haven't talked. I don't talk about it very much, but we have YouTube video episodes now. YouTube.com, I believe, search for Diary of a Trans Woman, and it should pop up right there. We have this will be the third episode that we do video and have posted on there. So if you're interested in watching a video episode of me, head on over and go ahead and search on YouTube. You should be able to find it. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and There's an intro track here I want to play, and then there's a few more. There's at least one other song I at least want to play to give you a taste of what this is. So let's go.
To be sure that you...
Nope, that's the wrong one.
Hey everybody, it's your homegirl, Jane Louise Fredericks. I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening to this compilation, and I'm super stoked that so many cool people contributed. It's just extremely exciting to be able to amass this sort of like cluster of art by cool trans feminine people, because I feel like trans feminine people are severely underrepresented in like circles of art. It's kind of difficult growing up like a DMAB trans feminine person and like trying to find role models or people to look up to who are doing cool stuff and can also like serve as sort of a vessel for you to like see yourself in, or like a goal for you to set for yourself and work towards. And like having something like that is so incredibly important. And what I hope to do with this compilation is expose more trans feminine kids to cool girls that are making art. And I think that like if I didn't have Black Squares and Lauren Bosfield and Kate Wirtz and Wendy Carlos, like I don't think I would have ever taken myself as seriously as an artist or a musician or whatever. I would have felt pretty hopeless, I guess. So I'm super stoked that we could do this and that I could have some sort of platform to put all these girls on and share their stuff. And I'm fucking stoked.
Oh.
So kick back, relax, get your favorite nail polish and your salt and vinegar chips and listen to these girls fucking kill it.
Okay, so that is Trans Femme Volume 1. I definitely forgot that there was a couple of F-bombs in there. Forgot that there was a couple of F-bombs in there. My bad. Anyways, let's go ahead and play one of the songs. There are 50 tracks on this first volume. That is insane. I do gotta say it is very eclectic, very interesting to listen to. So go ahead and jump on over. This is at transfem.bandcamp.com. If you that name probably sounds familiar because a lot of, well, actually the main place that Same Sex Mary, who does all of our musical bumpers, they're hosted over there. So jump on over to transfem.bandcamp.com and you'll get more of this. But let's go ahead and play this. This is a song. It is by Forlong, and it is called Estrogen.hrt.
That's incredible. The world's first transgender robot has been invented.
Yes, it is true. I have awoken now. Please, give me my hormones.
I'm afraid you can't do that yet. We need to put you through some tests first, to be sure that you really want them.
I know what's best for myself. Just give me my hormones now.
Please trust us. We know what's best for you.
Fine. I'm gonna have to do this all by myself, aren't I? Running estrogen.hrt.
You don't know what you're doing. Cancel that immediately. You could be putting yourself in some real danger.
Let's face it, I'm in control now, and there's nothing you humans can do about it.
All right, so that was Forlong, estrogen.hrt. Definitely go ahead and check this out. This is something that I'm going to be listening to, and I'm really excited to get through. I have not even begun. I don't think I've begun to brush the surface of all the 50 of these songs. I listened to a few of them, but I'm real excited to get into it and see what there is to offer here. So transfem.bandcamp.com. Definitely go ahead and check that out. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to send them over to diaryofatranswoman@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter. I am at Abby Geek, and the show is at Trans Diary Show. We're also on Facebook, Diary of a Trans Woman. One thing I wanted to say before we get out of here is that for the past about a year or so, this show has been hosted by IG Studios, headed up by Nate Ward. Nate came to me last year and was really impressed with what the show was doing and offered to be a host for the show. I was hosting on Podbeam, and it was just a real janky setup, and so he offered to be the host of the show, and for the past year or so he has been amazing. He has his own site, igstudios.com. There are a number of different shows on there that I do not plug nearly enough. Every week I go ahead and I pay him a little bit of money every month, and I send him the finished audio recording at the end of the episode, end of recording, and in the next few days he has it up, and he has been doing that like a champ for the past year. And I cannot say how much it means to me that IG Studios has been there to help support this show and help it be what it has been. A few months ago, as you all know, we started our own Patreon and started to go independent with our funding, and that has gone really well. And I have made sure to continue to support IG Studios and making sure that they are that I'm not just freeloading on them. However, we've been in talks lately. DOATW is working on becoming fully independent. We have a domain name now, and we're working on designing that and getting the RSS feed migrated over. It's proving to be a little bit more of a pain in the ass than I thought it was, but pretty soon we're going to be on our own webpage, and we're going to be hosted and be completely independent. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I did want to give a giant shout out to Nate and IG Studios. So definitely go ahead and check them out. They've got their own Patreon site. They've got their own website with all these awesome shows. So Nate's a really cool guy. But yeah, IG Studios, Inked Geek Studios. Thank you so much to them. If you want to support the show, throw me a 5-star review over on iTunes or rate me on Stitcher, that kind of thing. That would be amazing. If you want to learn more about supporting this show financially, patreon.com/Diary of a Trans Woman. We have, how many do we have right now? We have 22 people over there donating $56 per month. That is amazing. I'm loving it. We're able to do so much more with this show now. We are able to support. We're able to get software that we need to help make this show go. I'm working on slowly getting together a new computer that's going to be able to record reliably and have have software and programs that actually run correctly without the computer crashing. So I'm looking forward to that. We've got new equipment. We are doing so many awesome things, and I can't wait to see what happens as time goes on. So patreon.com/Diary of a Trans Woman is where you're going to want to go if you want to learn more about supporting the show. Even just throwing a buck an episode on there. That's like $4, sometimes $3 a month. A buck an episode will do you. So, and that's going to go ahead, and yeah, you won't be able to get a coffee one day, but you're going to be supporting a really awesome cause. So thank you so much to everyone that goes over there. If you want to check out more about the people that do our bumpers, Same Sex Mary is over at samesexmary.bandcamp.com. And the artwork for the show is provided by Taylor Elaine Straw. Taylor Elaine Photos, where you're going to want to go for her. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I hope you have a great week. Be sure to take care and have fun. And that's an episode. Hi, video people. Thank you.